So welcome to today's class. And so what we discussed previously. So previously we discussed Spring Basic MVC application, and we did we did we did lot of configurations, manual configurations, web.xml, service.xml. So all other respective configurations with respect to Spring MVC application, our first application. So next, what we did a Spring Boot sample application. So how the Spring Boot is, we can avoid the manual configurations, and doing Spring Boot, we did as using small static DB, we did CRUD operations. Now we entered into the in-memory database. So in-memory database, right? So how we can use Spring Data before going to actual database? We are using H2 database. So this is the one of the SQL H2 database. So we are in this application, or in this service, or in this project, or in this example, we are going to use Spring Boot, Spring Data, JPA, H2, JPA plus H2 database, CRUD operations. Okay, all four operations. Of course, we are having get by list and get all list, one more extra operation. That is okay, no issue. So along with the Swagger Open API specifications, right? So before going to actual example, so we need to discuss about a little bit thing in a Spring Data. So now it is a new. So here are the database. Of course, H2 database we will discuss while sharing the code and all. But before starting our actual code, so we need to know about Spring Data as well as JPA. So JPA is nothing but Java Persistence API. Okay, so Java Persistence API. So it is a guidelines of how can we store, how can we define a table, how can we mapping. So this is a kind of interfaces, this is a kind of guidelines. Using this, we can implement any kind of ORM framework like Hibernate and all the things. So internally we are using these specifications, using these guidelines, we are using Hibernate here, right? And also we can use JPA. And also, what is the Spring Data? So data is nothing but is the data is the name of databases. Data is the name of data where we can store, whether it is in databases, whether it is an SQL database, whether it is a NoSQL database. Okay, so here let me share my screen. So here just I want to show you the Spring Data. So here I want to show the Spring Data. So okay, so Spring Data, one API to rule them all, which means Spring Data is a one API or one kind of one module from the Spring framework, right? So whatever we have a RDBMS databases, and we have a NoSQL databases. NoSQL database in the sense MongoDB, Neo4j, Couchbase, Cassandra, any kind of NoSQL databases. So Spring Data is the only one to take care of all kind of databases internally. So Spring Data is a one wrapper. A Spring Data is a one module on top of databases. The Spring people wrapped one kind of data called Spring Data. Okay, the Spring Data is the high level Spring source project whose purpose is to unify and easy access to different kind of persistent storages, which means different kind of storage databases or databases, right? Persistent storages, both relational database systems and NoSQL database systems, both SQL systems and NoSQL systems, or SQL databases and NoSQL databases, both, right? A Spring Data will take care. Okay, Spring Data, using Spring Data, we can integrate or we can communicate, we can do the all the transactions, any kind of database. Okay, so RDBMS and MongoDB, how they wrapped? If you see here, in this, if you see here, so I think maybe it is little blur, it is coming. Okay, no issue. So here, Spring Data is having high level two interfaces. One is the CRUD repository, one is the pagination and sorting repository. Okay, so CRUD repository will extended by the JPA repository. So JPA is the, you know, right? JPA is the Java Persistence API, using which we can communicate the database, we can connect the database, we can do all the kind of operations, save operation, delete operation, update operation, all kind of things. So If it is a normal, if it is not a Spring Data, if you are not using a Spring Data, if you are using a directly any ORM framework, you need to write a all DDL kind of all the DDL or DML, any kind of queries. You need to write select query, select star from employee, or update employee where ID is equal to something, or delete employee where ID is equal to something. So you need to write all kind of SQL queries with respect to database. If it is a MySQL, little bit syntax is different. If it is a Oracle, little bit syntax is different, right? So you need to write such kind of queries when you are doing a transaction with the database. But using Spring Data, you don't need to write any kind of a default queries. For example, save employee, delete employee, update employee, get employee. So such kind of queries internally will taken care by these repositories. By this repository already having a such kind of methods, predefined methods. For save operation, we have a save method. For update operation, we have a update method. For delete operation, we have a delete method. For update operation, we have update method. For get operation, we have a get method. So internally, it will write the query based on passing parameters. So it is a method of function. It is expecting some parameters. So using that parameters is internally write the query with respect to database. So such kind of things internally handled by the Spring Data. So whenever we are having, why we are having only JPA repository for RDBMS databases, and why we are having different databases and different repositories with for the NoSQL databases? Why? Because RDBMS is a one kind of structured database. RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So it is a one kind of structure. What is the structure? We have a table, we have a columns, right? We have a combination of columns and columns and rows. The columns and rows is nothing but a table, right? The table is group of tables is comes under one schema. The schema is nothing but database, right? Each and every database should follow that kind of structure in a JDBC or RDBMS system. So that is the reason one repository will handle all kind of databases. But coming to NoSQL databases, there is no structure, there is no SQL, right? So MongoDB will have their own specific queries. Neo4j will have their own specific queries. Couchbase will have their own specific queries. So that is the reason they written repositories with respect to database. If it is a MongoDB, we have a Mongo repository for MongoDB. If it is a Neo4j, we have a graph repository, right? So like that, if it is a Couchbase, we have a Couch repository. If it is a Cassandra, we have a Cassandra repository. So like that, with respect to NoSQL databases, they wrapped all kind of repositories as well as templates. The template is nothing but the default JDBC templates. How we are having a Spring JDBC template, the same way here also we have a Mongo template, Neo4j template, Couch template, Cassandra template, ABC template, etc. ABC template. So like that we have, right? So this is what Spring Data. So do you have any doubts on this? No, right?
No.
No, Veer. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So coming to here, now we are coming here. So Spring Data and JPA using H2 database, we doing a CRUD operations. Fine. So while creating a project, what are the dependencies we need? What are the dependencies we need? We will see. So I'm sharing my screen. So I'm closing all. So this is the project. So this is the project. This is the project, and let me. This is the project. Just give me 1 second, okay? Okay, fine. Sorry. So JPA, Spring Data and JPA using, we are doing using H2 database, we are doing a CRUD operations. So I'm sharing my project. So this is the project and this is the project structure. So as you know, project 1 and project 2, we did already all the project structure related coding in a manually. Now I'm opening directly in a form.xml. So if you see here, for H2 database, we need H2 dependency. That is fine. And OpenAPI, you know, we need OpenAPI related dependency. Apart from that, if it is a data and JPA, so we need Spring Data JPA repository. So whatever we are using, each and every component, with respect to component, we have a with respect to the respective dependency. So the dependency will provide all the runtime library. So runtime environment will provide. So web, you know, web will provide the all kind of RESTful related components as well as Tomcat embedded server. So this is what pom.xml. Fine. So coming to, first of all, service, I'm opening a service. So employee service. So by seeing this service, you will aware what are the operations we are going to do as part of this employee microservice. Okay. So we have a create employee, we have a get employee by ID. Just I'm passing an ID. Okay. So here I added a small kind of exception scenarios also. If the records are not there, we are throwing a resource not found exception. But going onward, we are not doing any exception handling. So whenever we comes into the exception handling project, so at that time I will explain all the exception related implementations, how we can implement a standard way of exception handling. So that is the art of the microservice application. So whenever we are coming there, we can reveal that. So as of now, just I created one exception class only here. So that's all. So here, get all employees list, update employee, and delete employee by ID. So right. So here we have two get methods. One is the get all employees, and is the get by employee ID. So that's fine. So before coming to the service AMPL, I want to show the employee entity here. So previously we are calling as a model. Now we can call it as an entity. Why we are calling as an entity? So it is nothing but it is a model of database columns as well as Java variables, right? So here ID. So ID we can define @ID. So it is nothing but ID is nothing but a Java persistence ID of JPA. Okay. So table, it is also Java persistence ID, right? So you can give the table column, so automatically table will created. Okay, who will take care of that? So right. So I will tell you. So column, column, we can define the column name. If you are not defining this value, automatically column name by default it will take. If you want to give the specific column name, you can give the specific column name of your variable. Okay. So address, phone number. So I taken 4 values, the respective setters and getters methods and toString method. That's fine. So now here, so repository. So this is the repository. I already told you JPA repository will take care of to all kind of operations, right? So this is the syntax of writing a repository. So our employee repository. So the naming convention should be followed, right? If it is a repository, it is an employee repository. If it is a service, employee service. If it is a controller, employee controller. So like that, we need to write each and every naming specific in a clear cut way. Okay. So employee repository. So if you want to enable your repository as an repository, your class as a repository of a Spring component, you need to put @repository on top of your repository. So that is one thing. The second thing is you need to extend to take the default behavior or properties of your future class or your parent class, right? JPA repository here. The JPA repository by default, it will expect entity as well as the entity as well as the primary key data type of the primary key of the data type of this entity. So if you go to here, so what is the data type here? Long, right? The primary key is nothing but our ID of a table, right? The primary key data type, what kind of data type it is having a primary key? It is a long, right? This is an employee. If you come here, so it is taking employee as an entity and primary key of data type, what kind of data type it is having? Long. So that is what it is expecting, like this JPA repository. Now employee repository, right? So whatever we have this all methods, find all, right? So find by ID. So all kind of values will be, all kind of functions will be available to our child class. We know inheritance concept in Java. So whatever we have a parent class, whenever we are extending our parent class from our child class, so obviously we will get all kind of properties to the child class. So this is called inheritance concept, getting the properties of superclass to subclass, or parent class to child class, or basic class to derived class, right? So we will get all kind of behavior to the child class. That's all. So coming to properties. So here, this is the H2 database related properties. So Spring data source. So this is the data source, right? Data source URL, JDBC : H2 database : mem : testdb. Whatever you want, you can give this name. the driver of a respective H2 database. So org.h2.driver. So password, the default password, it will take SA and sorry, username, and password will be empty. So this is what I created here. So Spring Data DDL auto definition, data definition long ways. Okay, the Spring JPA Hibernate DDL auto, create and drop. Okay, create and drop. So whenever you are running an application, it will automatically create a table by reading your repository. It will take, this is the primary key of database, this is the table. So they defined as a table name as an employee, they defined ID as an ID, they defined a variable as a column name, right? So if you're not mentioning column, it will automatically take this name as a column. So like that, it will read this entity through this repository, right? Through this repository, and it will create a table for that. If it is not existing, it will create. Okay, whenever you are stopping your application, it will automatically drop. So that is the reason I added this one. Instead of creating a tables manually, so we can create a tables like this first time. The second time onwards, if you want to keep the data, you can comment out this while running application, right? So like that we can do. Fine. And okay, fine. So and this is the dialect. So what is the importance of dialect? As we know, dialect is nothing but whenever we are writing a query, right? So every database, it is having their own specific syntaxes. So the dialect will take care to convert your normal SQL queries to the respective database syntaxes queries. Okay, the H2 database will have a small different syntax, and SQL will have a small different syntax, and Oracle will have a small different syntax. So automatically it will convert your SQL query to the HQL queries or JPL queries. Okay, so it will dialect will take care of to convert the Spring Data related or the compatibility related queries. That's fine. And enable console. See, we are creating a tables and we are inserting a data and we are getting a data, but we want to see the database also. If you want to see the database of H2, which is already embedded and in-memory database we taken, the enable console true and console path. So whenever we are taking localhost dot this one, we can able to see our table and data. So this is what properties. So coming to service IMPL. Now I am coming to service IMPL. So this is service IMPL. Whenever we are implementing our interface, so obviously repository we need, right? Why repository we need? Repository dot save method. It will come. Repository find by ID. So why it is coming? The find by ID is a method from the JPA repository. JPA repository extended by the employee repository. Obviously, employee repository will have all methods. Whatever the methods are having a JPA repository, right? So like that, we can call each and every method from the superclass method, right? So repository dot find by ID. So what is the find by ID? What is this get employee by ID we are calling? So by default, it will return a optional of object. Okay, find by ID. So the repository will return like that. So whenever we are taking this one, so employee dot is present. Whether it is an employee is present means his employee is having objects or not. If it is present, employee dot get automatically return a actual object. Employee dot get method, it will give the object of optional. Object of optional means the generic type of this optional. So automatically employee will return. So what is our return type of this method? Employee. So we can return employee directly, right? So if it is not present, if it is an empty database is an empty, we can forward resource not found exception, which is already created in our exception package. So this is the resource not found exception. This is the response status, right? We are passing a response status directly from this class. HTTP status not found, extended by the exception. So whatever you are writing a custom exception, it should be extended by the one of our exception class, Java existing exception class. So then only our containers of Spring will treat as a, okay, this is an exception, it is already handled, not found exception, we are returning from here, right? Automatically. So this is the construction. We have a single parameter construction, we have a double parameter construction. So we can throw the message, or we can throw the message along with the exception type also, right? Like that we can throw no employee record found for given ID. So we can throw as a response status body. Okay, fine. So this is the get employee by ID. So get all employees. So repository find all. So, right, find all. Of course, list of employees it will come. So employee list greater than 0, we can pass. If it is a less than 0, new array list, empty array list you can pass. Empty array list you can pass, no issue. So create employee. So create employee means here see why I'm writing this method. Okay, so repository.save employee. Repository.save employee. Whenever we are passing an entity, we are passing. Just I want to see what are the values are saving. Just I want to return the same repository.find by ID. So whatever we are passing an ID as part of this, the same repository I'm getting, and I'm passing here. Employee.get here, right? So create employee. It will save and it will get and it will give whatever. Just I want. We can write wide also, but based on your requirement, you can write. If you want to see what I am saving, you can see. If you want to see the only success message, you can put a wide method. No need to return anything here. So update employee. So see, this is the repository. We are for saving also, we are using repository.save method, and update operation also internally we are using save method only. So there is no kind of update method. But how it will work internally? So whenever you are saving an entity or whenever you are saving an object in a database, so Spring data internally it will check. In normal JDBC it will not check. In the Spring data it will check. Okay, that is the beauty of the Spring data. So whether the employee or whether the entity or whether the record is existing in a database or not. If it is an existing, it will update. If it is not existing, how it will check? The primary key of this column. That is what repository will check. The repository. If you see here repository, we return this repository primary key, right? So the repository will check always. Okay, repository will check always the primary key of the column. The primary key of the column is existing in database or not. If it is an existing, it will save. If it is not existing, automatically it will update. But front end, we don't want to create such type of confusions. So that is the reason we have a create employee for a create operations. We have a update employee for update operations. Obviously, the people will send remaining values. Obviously, ID will be disabled in front of the user interface. The remaining values, address or phone number or name or anything, right? It will be updated. The same ID will come here. It will write a update query here, right? So based on the employee ID, right? So once I updated, just I want to see the updated values. So the same way I get the find employee by ID, and same I'm returning here employee.get. It will return the actual employee object of this generic type. Okay, so like that save method will work for save and update. That it will not create any time it is a duplicate record in a database. That will be taken care by the Spring data. So delete the employee by ID. Okay, so here, so whenever you are doing deleting a record, you need to find whether the record is available in a database or not. Just I want to check whether this employee record is empty or not. So if the record is not empty, of course we can directly use the repository delete by ID. But just our understanding purpose, I written one more method. No need to write this method. Okay, for the delete operation, directly you can use this one. But I want to check before deleting whether the table is whether the record is existing or not. For that purpose only I written this method. Okay, just I'm doing some whatever I want here, right? So but this is not required in real time. Okay, this is not required in a real time. You need to write directly delete object. Okay, so delete by ID. So if it is a present, it will delete. If it is not present, it will return. No employee record found for the given ID. So you are trying to delete some ID, some record, but you are not having that record in a database. Just I want to handle this kind of situation also. So like that, so that I added here. Fine. So we done all the implementations. So coming to controller, you know, right? So we used employee service. So employee service is a dependency injection of this controller. So we auto-wide here, and on top of our controller, we should use REST controller to make our controller as a REST controller or RESTful application. So create employee, it is nothing but a post mapping. A method is nothing but a post, and it is a request mapping and method. So it is a combination of a request mapping and method type. It is called post mapping, and value we are giving a URI of this method and request body. So whatever we are passing as part of this post method for the create employee, you need to pass an employee entity as a request body. Okay, so whenever we are saving a employee, right? So automatically it will return employee object also here. If you want to pass employee object, you can pass here, or if you want to send some response, you can pass a successfully created, or otherwise it is already returning an employee object. We know, right? So it is already returning an employee object. You can take employee object here. So you can pass here, and HTTP status is created. So in HTTP status of each and every API, we have a different statuses here. If you see here, control tab, accepted and created, right? Status created. So whenever you are creating an record, you can give it a created 201, or you can give 200 also, success HTTP okay also you can give. Okay, so like that we have a different kind of statuses of each and every API we can pass. And get mapping. Okay, this is the employee of ID. So get employee by ID, right? Get employee by employee ID. So by path we are passing a ID. So that is the reason @path variable I defined @long, right? So throws exception. Why? Because we are throwing an exception in this method, right? So that is the reason we are throwing in an exception here. So if you come here, so just we are finding if it is present, we are getting the employee and we are passing. If it is not present, we are throwing the resource not found exception. Okay. So here we are getting a response here, employee response. So employee, we can pass the employee response and the status is okay. So each and every event or each and every API we should send as a developer. As a developer, this is the standard way of returning a return type of a RESTful application. Okay, response entity. It is an entity. Entity is nothing but an object, right? Of response. A response entity of object we need to send along with the status of this API event or event status or API status, right? So like that, that is the reason only we need to use HTTP status, HTTP entity as a return type of each and every API. So like that, we have a get all employee we have. So we are getting all employees and we are passing this response as a here. So whether it is a list of employees, whether it is a single object or whether it is a list of object, it will take in a generic way of a return type. Okay, update employee. Obviously we need to pass a request body as an employee. Whatever we are updating the values coming from the front end, automatically it will update here. So if you can come here, so the same save entity, just we are taking the whatever we are saving here, right? So internally, even though it is using the same method, but in front of customer we should not write the same method for both the things. He will confuse. For avoiding such kind of confusions, we need separate for separate event, we have a separate API, right? So for separate work or separate function, we have a each and every individual APIs with respect to our operations, right? So whatever you write internally, that is our headache. But in front of client or in front of customer, we need to show, we need to elevate each and every function and individual way of working, right? Or this is what we need to write code like this. So this is the delete by employee ID. So right. So coming to application class. We know. So OpenAPI definition, we already know this in a class 1 and class 2, right? So this is the third class. As it is, we have employee service and snapshot and employee project. So component scan. So you need to give the base package of our application. So automatically it will extend each and every folder or each and every layer of each and every package, controller, exception, and the repository and service, right? All APIs automatically it will scan this component scan, right? So enable JPA repositories. So whatever we are using extra components, right? Extra modules, you need to enable that. So how we are enabling a OpenAPI definition? OpenAPI is a separate component, right? You need to enable so that our Spring Boot it will understand. The same way, enable JPA repositories. Enable JPA repositories. The base package of we need to give the repository. So this is the repository package you can give. From this repository, it will read automatically our repository. From the repository, it will read employee object. Like that, it will read. So you need to give the base repository of this. Okay, where we are using our repositories of Spring Data. So entity scan also you need to give. Why? Because entity scan, so you are using a table as an entity, right? So here entity. Okay, so here you are defining a table, you are defining a database columns, right? So that is the reason we need to scan our entities also. Whenever it is creating a table, whenever it is saving a table, saving a records into the table, it will map your Java columns to the table columns by scanning this entity scan. Okay, so that is the reason we need to give. Of course, we know at the Spring Boot application, the default annotation of our Spring Boot application, it is a combination of @enabled, @configuration, @auto configuration, right? So component scan, right? So we need to give this up. This is the main class of our application, and this is the main annotation, right? So after that, we need rest of the annotations. Fine. So let me run our project. So before running up our project, do you have any questions?
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So far, it's
So I'm
okay.
running. Okay, thank you. So I'm running our application. So it is started. So application is started. So before starting our application, before running our application, so let me open the two consoles. Let me open the two consoles. One is the local host Swagger. So this is our Swagger employee, get all employee, update employee, save employee, get by employee, delete by employee, right? So delete employee, right? Fine. So we are having this, right? So let me open our database console also. What is that? Localhost. We need to take a localhost colon 2023 of h2 console. Okay, h2 console. So this is the console. Okay, so initially it will have, so if I'm logging like this, let me show the initial one. So it will come like this. So you need to give the, if it is giving the default URL of h2 database, you need to copy here. You need to copy from our application.property file. This is the driver, and you need to copy here, and you need to paste here. So automatically it will connect. Okay, username SA, the default username of our database, and you can connect. So if you see here, our application is already ran, right? So that is the reason table is created. We did not create a table here, so it is created. So select star from. Select star from employee. So see, so ID, address, full name, and phone number, it is there. So right. So now you can run your application. So for example, we already handled all employees, right? So exception handling. So just I'm getting get employees. Okay. So empty. So why it is coming empty? If you see here, service IMPL, get all employees. Get all employees. Get all employees. If it is a greater than 0, we can send employee list. If it is not, if it is less than 0, right? If it is an empty, right, or null, empty, right? So we are just passing an empty array list. So that is the reason we are getting a empty instead of giving a exception. The same you can see, get employee by ID. So you can pass some ID. Try out. You can pass some ID here. Obviously we will get a resource not found exception. That is what expected behavior. See the timestamp, the automatically it will come here. The status 404, error not found. Okay, so 404 and not found, right? So 100, the path 100. So here we are not finding a records here. So I think we need to, let me debug here. Let me debug when we are getting a correct or not. So get employee by ID, right? So I'm enabling this. So let me check one more time. Yeah, here we are getting correct. But why we are not getting this? Okay, we are not setting this message to the front end. Okay, front end. So that is the reason we are not getting the message. But we getting not found exception. Okay, not found. We are adding the status, right? The status is coming here on top of our class. We are adding a status. But why we are not getting this message? We will check in whenever we are coming into the exception classes. Okay. So as of now, we are just handled in a normal way. So now I'm saving employees. So here the main focus is the H2 database, how we are integrating H2 database with the Spring Boot application, and how we are doing all the transactions. Okay, the name. Right. So I'm executing this. So internal server list /employee. So it is giving wrong. Let me check. No such elementation, no value present. So why we are getting this error? Let me check. Maybe the same. Okay. Here also we are getting the last time we got the right response body. Maybe we need to check what is the response body here we are getting. Request body web bind only. So let me check the create employee. Okay. So this is the post employee. Okay. Execute. So we are getting here. We are coming here. So are we getting the values? Okay, we are getting the values. So let me come here. Create employee. Right. So okay, it is created. So whatever we are created, let me check here. Let me check. Run. Okay, object is created. 2 objects are created. So okay, 2 objects are created, but the response, whatever we are employee value, it is coming as a null. Find by ID. So why it is coming repository find by ID? Employee entity dot get ID, right? We are passing. Let me check.
I think that entity doesn't have ID value.
Correct, exactly. Correct. So here we are not, we need to give the column also here at the column ID. So right, that is the issue. ID, right? ID we have, but we need to define a column here. So then only we will get. So let me take this ID also. Yeah, correct. So okay, we will validate. So where is this? Okay, fine. So I'm stopping our application. Good. So here entity, I think at the column. Let me check how it will work. So ID we have, but why here we are not getting employee? Entity dot get ID find by ID. So let me take. While creating, we are passing, right? Of course. So let me pass. So both are same. Let me check whether we are having or not. But update employee, right? So get employee. See here the get employee by ID, right? Find by ID. Repository find by ID, right? So get employee by ID. Let me pass. Okay, whatever we are sending. So it is saving 1 to 1 2, right? It is not saving, correct. It is not saving. Why? Because here we are giving in entity, we are giving generated value auto generated. So we need to disable this. By default it will generated. Okay, the default it will be generated. So whatever we are passing, it should take that value only. No need to give column here, automatically it will take. Okay, so okay, so generated, whenever you are giving a generated value, the database will take care of your IDs, right? So whatever you're passing an ID, it will not take. So now it should take. Okay. So good. Fine. So now, okay, that's fine. So now you can see. Okay, no issue. So I'm saving here one more time, record here. So it is enabled. Now this time 100 will be saved. Okay, 100 will be saved. 100 is saving. And what is the 100, right? So now this time the database should have 100. Okay, so it is not a auto generated. Okay, it is connected. Oh, all records will be removed. Why? Because the application was restarted, right? Select star from employee. Good, no issue. See, this time 100 is having. So now we will get here. So that is the reason we are not getting record here. No issue. So we are getting a record and we are passing here, and I'm disabling. Right. So if you come here, so whatever you are getting successfully, your see message we are in our controller, we are not sending a we are just simply sending a this one, right, string message instead of a response. So that is the reason we are getting here. So if you see here in a address, it is passing here. Okay, in a address it is passing, but we are not taking in a controller. That's fine, no issue. So coming to write one more record. So right, so you can execute. You can execute, it is successfully saved. So now you can get the get all employees. Get all employees. Execute. Right. So now if you see here, you are getting a all employees what you are having in here. What you are having here. What you are having here, we are able to getting the records here. So coming to update employee. So I'm taking one of the employee record. I'm taking one of the employee record. The same, rest of the things are all same. We need to look at our configurations things, and we need to look at how we can configuration, how we are doing the things and all, how we are configuring and how we are writing our code with respect to database properties, with respect to repositories. That's all. See, it is updated. It is updated and we are getting the values. It is updated, we are getting the values. Fine. So coming to here, coming to get employee by ID. Coming to get employee by ID, 100, right? So you can execute this. You are getting 100 updated record you are getting here, right? So get employee, we are not getting any headers here. So right, get method. In a post method, we are getting an address. So that is okay, no issue. So update employee is also done, and delete employee. So try out, you can click the try out and you can delete the record. Execute. So here we are writing a no content. HTTP status okay. Here we are not passing anything, right? So that is the reason it is deleted. So now you can check the get employee. You can check the get employee by passing 100. You are getting a not found exception, right? So that record was deleted. So if you see here, if you run this query, the record was deleted here. So like that, we can do all kind of operations, Okay. Okay. So like that, we can do all kind of operations. So this is what H2 database, using H2 database we did Spring Boot microservices. Sorry, CRUD operations. So the next class we will going to see how can we integrate SQL database with the Spring Data and Spring Boot. So here will be database will be changed the next class, and one is the SQL database and another one is the MongoDB. So we will see tomorrow as an SQL database, and day after tomorrow we will see the MongoDB. The next one by one, whatever we schedule, one by one we will see the classes. So each and every class is a unique, and each and every class is a very important, right, for the next level classes. So thanks, friends. Do you have any questions or do you have any doubts?
No, your thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
So I will share-
I have sorry, I have a question. What is the best practice for input request? I saw that you have the own entity. Do you recommend having
question.
a data transfer object?
Very
instead,
good.
the
Good
entity?
question. Good question. So as part of our practice, we returned, we directly passing an entity, but we should not pass the entity as an input body. Okay, we need to pass an input D2 as a request object. In our service layer, you need to transform data from the input D2 to the entity. So that we will see tomorrow's class. Good question, very good question. You got it right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and in the transformation layer, we need to transform our input object to the respective database columns. So that is nothing but an input employee DTO and input and a database model, an employee entity is also there. So you need to transform before saving the data from the input object to the output or backend model. And the same way, you need to, whenever you are getting a response entity from the entity to the response DTO, you need to transform the data. Whatever data you want to show, instead of showing in all columns in a database, you can copy some of the columns to the front end DTO, right? So you need to transform your data with respect to a required data to the client. So like that, we need to do in a best practices that we will see tomorrow's class. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. This video
Thank
I
you.
will provide in 20 or 30 minutes. Okay. And project also I will provide. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You will.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.